The second comment I want to address is Sue in saying, and this is where I get like in a downward spiral. We want more off-street parking, but we know that people aren't parking in the off-street parking. So what is the purpose of the parking requirements? So we have 2 off-street parking spaces and people fill their garages with their stuff, and they have an RV I mean, I've heard of a guy who has 10 cars that he moves around on our city streets. And so our streets are becoming like a storage unit, a free storage unit for these people, when they should be parking in their driveways and their garages. And so I don't really understand how the system is working. And lastly, I want to see developers listen to the market, respond to the market without us getting in the way. We've had 50 years of social engineering around automobiles, and I think it's time for them to develop what they want to develop. And sorry, one last point is that if we keep putting in 2 off-street parking spots, imagine what that's going to do to our traffic and how competitive parking downtown is going to become even more. And that's all I'll say.
Not talking about doing anything citywide. We're just trying to talk about creating a new product. And yeah, isn't there room in our community, you know, for one new product that maybe isn't so auto-focused? You know what I mean? We sort of keep creating the same problem over and over. You know, it's like we keep forcing people to develop things with parking, and then we keep getting more cars and more congestion and more parking problems. And so it's like, as a planning commission, I feel like, well, let's offer some different alternatives then, because we don't know. Maybe there is a market out there that it's, you know, I think as a city, we really shouldn't look at it as necessarily our job to figure out how people store their cars. You know, there are people who have boats, right? And they figure out where to put their boat. They park it at a friend's orchard, or they get a storage place out, you know, outside of town. I just think we need to provide a greater array of options for people. And, you know, again, too, it's like we're the planning commission, right? We're supposed to be planning for the future, and the future, everything you read is we're not going to need this much parking, you know? So I guess I hate to look at us looking at a whole new development option and then baking in the same old sort of 60s and 70s era parking requirements. I mean, we're going to have more car shares. We're going to have, you know, someday we probably will get Lyft and Uber here. So I think I think we should be a little bolder with this. I just want to make sure we're not, in the way we design this, that we're not encouraging more auto use again. This city, we make it so easy to own a car and so to get around by car, and so difficult to get around on foot or by bike. And I don't want to continue that.
I just want to add one thing to all that, because I'm not sure that having adequate off-street parking is the same as encouraging vehicle ownership. I'm not sure there's a cause and effect there. I think people have garages and they may not have vehicles right now, but they are really grateful for that garage because there's a lot of other stuff they put in there.
Electric bicycles, right? Where do you put all your electric bicycles?
All their bicycles maybe, right? But there's a functionality there. But I just don't think that if we say, you know, a half a unit or 1 unit of parking, that's going to decrease the number of vehicles. I don't think that will happen. And I think that the trend of the future is a little bit going away from private car ownership, but I think the bigger trend of the future is going to electric vehicles. Continued car ownership, I guess, is another way of saying that.
Electric vehicles, which you want to, I think Bill Irving had said last time, that makes it even more, he doesn't want to park around the block from where he lives, right? He wants to park his electric vehicle in his driveway so he can plug it in.
Charge it.
All right,
but
Dustin.
electric vehicles are what, $40,000 to $60,000 starting? Like, how is
no, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, how is
Yeah,
somebody?
but solar panels used to be a lot more expensive too, and they've gone way down. And I expect vehicles will be the same. I mean, it's a relative. Who knows? But
So a couple more. Tina triggered some great things that I forgot to mention. One is that we're getting an electric car share soon, which will be great for people that want access to vehicles. I can't believe we don't have a car share yet. It's so great for people that don't want the burden of car ownership, like they don't want to maintain or fill gas or anything. And it's kind of like Netflix for cars. And then the second is, I mean, CAT is expanding all the time with the transit service. And I think it's just going to get better and better. There was a couple other things I went, and then I know that bike share should be coming soon in terms of like the next couple years. And that's a whole nother thing that makes it easier to get around. I had a couple other things. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Bike parking minimums. That would be great in terms of another qualifier is that in lieu of 2 off-street parking spaces to provide 2 secure covered bike parking spots, because that makes a huge difference in owning a nice like electric bike and having a great place to park it. Yeah, I'm just in favor of a market-based approach here and letting them decide. There is something to be said for why is city government storing people's, it's the only thing that we store for the public for free. I don't get it. If a woman buys too many shoes for her closet, she has to eliminate some shoes because she's responsible for storing them in her house. But and if I buy too many bikes, I have 10 bikes. It's like a one in, one out thing. Like I can't keep all these bikes in my garage. But for some reason, we let people just expand their personal choices out onto our streets. So, yeah, market-based approach for me.